Once again, it's your boy, the extra large professor from Dad Cypher, and sit down with me on the couch as we go ahead and review week 2 of In Treatment, starting Aduba season 4 of In Treatment. So let's go ahead and break this down. I love these 2 episodes of Eladio and Colin. But before we get into my recap and reaction and that sort of thing, I need y'all to go ahead and click and subscribe. So every time I send a recap and, talk about In Treatment, I want you guys to go ahead and always be on notice of when your boy is dropping it. Okay, so here we go. Let's just jump right into it. So first, as you all know, we began the sessions with Eladio. And right away, what we opened, the show opens with Brooke overlooking the city of Los Angeles from her Baldwin Hills home. And right away, you can kind of tell that she's in deep thought, contemplation. That's the word I was looking for. She's in deep contemplation, right? So she's overlooking the city, and Adam, her enabler in a sense, comes out, and he is basically holding her from the back, getting all lovey-dovey with her. And one of the things that she questions is, why does he never call her out on her struggles with alcoholism? And he basically says that she's the smartest woman that he knows, and that he believes that she has one drink, it won't hurt her, when we know that she had a history with alcoholism. So you could just tell right away that he is her enabler. And I think the theme for this entire episode is this whole idea of what the role that an enabler holds in the life of somebody who is struggling, that's in treatment. So right away, as we go into Eliando and the episode, we find that he is sort of disheveled, and he looks like he's so very deplete of like energy. Like before, he was quoting all of this Shakespeare and all of this literature, and showing that his his intellectual prowess. But this time around, he's just like, I don't have any energy. And right away, Brooke picks up on and wants to talk about maternal transference. And for those who don't know, maternal transference is basically when a client begins to see their therapist, in a sense, as a maternal or mother figure, and they transfer those emotions. And it's not, it's a lot different from Freud, like the Oedipus Rex complex, where it's like sexual fantasies or desires of a mother. In this particular case, it's really what Brooke is picking up, is that he is seeking like the sort of comfort that he did not receive from his mother. And she is, and he basically blatantly asked if she could fill that role for him. And her response is basically, I can try to help you to find the resources that you would need to, to satisfy those needs. And he didn't take too kindly of that to that at all.
I can't take you anymore. You never understand anything.
So he, once again, it goes about asking about the lithium, and if she can give him a prescription for it. And, and he basically said he needs this to help him to sleep, and that if she really wants to help him, that's what she would get for him. And Brooke's response is, okay, well, tell you what, why don't you show me the lithium pills that you have now? So he runs in the back, grabs these big lithium pills, spills them out over the bed, and he's counting 16 of them. So she was like, basically, you have 2 weeks that I could go ahead and decide if I want to make this, write this script for you. But she notices on the bottle that he has that the lithium that he has a prescription for is not in his name. And so right away she was like, whoa, where are you getting this lithium from? And you know this is illegal to take someone's lithium. And he gives her this story about a friend of his that was walking through the streets and had like a breakdown of some sort. And as they were walking down the street barefoot, they had like their feet encased or impacted with like all of this glass. And, basically, they were hospitalized. And so because she knew that he needed the lithium more than she did, she gave it to him. And Brooke right away is like, she's noticing like you find ways to get people to go out on a limb for you. And he was like, I don't know, I go out on a limb for them too. But it's kind of like he's found a support system of sort of enablers that I noticed right away coming from him. And so they began to switch subjects, and he's switching subjects throughout the entire episode. So if I find if this episode seems a little disconnected, it's because I'm trying to follow Eladio from one point to the next. So the next thing that he does is he sort of tells her about how he met the DeMarcos. And so he basically stated, which was a big shocker for me, that Jeremy is an adult. Now, based on how he described Jeremy in episode week 1, you would think that this was an adolescent kid, the way he was saying, like he looks up to him and, he has to make sure that he's well taken care of and all of this kind of stuff. But we found out that he's an adult, and basically it's kind of weird how he met the DeMarcos. He was a waiter in some Thai restaurant, and the DeMarcos came in trying to be sort of these foodies. They go to all of these different places, and she just, in Mrs. DeMarco, who he describes as a hothead like his mother, basically, notice how well he it does with Jeremy, and she basically asked him to come and live with her. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, how weird that here he is, Eladio, out of his own admission, does not have any sort of expertise or a license in physical health care, but she took him home and basically allows him to live in her home, is paying for therapy for him, and still pays him like $12 an hour. And it's just kind of strange how he transferred from a waiter to a caretaker. So, so right away, one of the things that Brooke is like trying to figure out, well, how did this come to be? And he basically lashes out like, I knew that you would do this. I knew that you would talk bad about the DeMarcos. But I'm like watching this. I'm like, bro, you're the one who brought this up. So what is going on here? Like, why, when she gets close to trying to unearth what's going on with some of your tendencies, that you're like blowing up on her. So, and then he apologizes for not describing Jeremy as an adult, because he said basically everybody infantilizes him, makes him feel like he's a baby. He describes like Jeremy is an adult with a physical disability, but they, place him in front of the television to watch Peter Pan. And he was saying like his job is to keep mustard off his face. And then he even admitted that if Jeremy were healthy, they would probably never be friends. He called him a Republican, a transphobic, conservative, everything that he claims that he hates, but yet he says he loves Jeremy. And we still don't really kind of have an idea of what hold do does Jeremy have, or the DeMarcos have, and why is that? And then he begins to say that he doesn't want to talk about the DeMarcos. But then in that same breath, he turns around and says he knows why she keeps getting at the DeMarcos. It's because he realizes that he is a non-essential worker, that he does a great job, and that he tries to make himself seem irreplaceable, but he knows that as a non-essential worker that he can be tossed out on the street with nothing. And he even admits that he could probably make more money working at Baskin Robbins and that sort of thing. And when Brooke challenges him to take control and ownership of his life, he basically was saying that he can't. He doesn't have the power to. And so he's locked in this sort of state of powerlessness, but yet he finds a group of enablers, and yet he's engaging in this push-pull relationship with Brooke that's sort of like he's trying to recreate a sort of father, I'm sorry, a sort of mother-son relationship. To me, he's kind of showing some signs of borderline personality disorder and also abandonment issues. And it really comes into play towards the end of the episode when she realizes that she's overtime, and he's trying to push the boundaries and get her to say, to stay longer with him by kind of trying to use reverse psychology. I understand, go with your other client, that sort of thing, to get her to basically push the boundaries and let them go overtime. And and Brooke, to a certain extent, kind of gives into it a little bit by saying, well, I can call you and text you later to see if you okay. And I'm thinking to myself, Brooke, once again, you're going outside of the boundaries. So you're enabling this kid. And it's just going to be quite interesting to see how their relationship further develops over time. So that's Eliando, and now, or Eladio. I'm sorry, keep mispronouncing the name. Before I get out of here, I want to respond to a couple of messages that I received on the YouTube video, and thank you all again for supporting the show. I want to shout out Google Fan. He said, it sounds like to me season 4 is therapy for Black people, LOL. You know what? I want to say it's not necessarily therapy for just Black people. I think it's for therapy for people who are dealing with post-COVID. We've all been kind of cooped up. We've kind of gone crazy. I don't know if you've seen like stuff that's going on with the airlines and people fighting one another and that sort of thing. I think this episode of In Treatment is really a reflection of all of us as an American people. It just so happened we just have more people of color than in previous seasons of In Treatment. So, but thanks for the comment. Also, let me see, L. Robinson, she writes, great review. Um, Great review. I'm a fan of the series. Love this season. Thanks. Hey, thank you too for watching. I'm definitely loving this season. Last but not least, then we has, I hope I'm pronouncing it right because it's very important that I pronounce this, Gonzalo. And I forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. My last name is Adolf, so you can imagine the hell that I grew up with growing up. But I do understand and know that it's important to get names right. So if you would in the comments, just phonetically write it for me, and then I promise I will have it right next time. And but basically the question is, what's Brooke's connection to Paul? I believe that Brooke is Paul's mentee, and based on the emails that we saw, and based on the photos and that sort of thing, or he's her supervisor. So with that being said, I want to know from you guys, what are your thoughts? What do you think about Eladio? Do you think that he is seeking, he wants Brooke to be a sort of enabler slash mom?